Hey everyone, how's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's doing well. It's good to see you all. I'm not going to go through my regular hellos to everybody tonight because I do have a special guest. I do want to apologize. Skip had to kind of bow out. He had something come up rather suddenly, and unfortunately, he's not going to be with us tonight. But I do have Perry Freeman, who from CopFaxx, who's going to be joining me tonight. So I know that Steve from True Crime Web is coming over after his live is done as well. And so we'll have him in chat, and we'll have plenty of people here to talk about what we need to talk about tonight. I know everybody's probably in an uproar because of what happened today. I do want to say briefly, I purposefully did not go live when all of this was happening, and I will explain that a little bit later. I hope everyone is respectful tonight in the chat. I'm going to be very firm and not allow any uproar of any kind in my chat. I want it kept respectful. I do not want anyone to bash any other channels or any other people. So no names out there of any kind. My moderators will handle that for me. You guys know how I like to have my chat run, and that's what I expect. I want everyone to be respectful and kind while we get into this. I'm tired. I will let you know I've been up since 4 o'clock this morning, so bear with me. I am just a little frazzled. So, but we're going to get through this, and we're going to talk about a lot of what's going on. And let me see. I wanted to see what. Hey, Jennifer, thank you so much. Hi, Maria. Thank you guys for being here. I know Tech Def's coming. He told me he'd be here. Hey, Marv. Hey, Frank. So, let's see. All right, guys. So anyway, no caps in the chat, please. YouTube does not like caps, and Nightbot will tell you, and then we'll have to mute you. So I don't want that to happen. So please make sure everybody Hey, Hoosier. How are you? I did get, Hoosier, if you would email me, please, I would like to talk to you. If you could email me, I would so appreciate it. I did hear from the captain, so I just want you to email me if you would. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Perry on. He's been waiting in the wings, and I'm going to bring him on with me. So here we go, guys.
Howdy.
How are you?
I'm good. And you?
I'm good. I took a couple of hours to kind of decompress after today a little bit. So, but yeah, I'm doing good. It's good to see you. Um, I'm gonna hang on real quick and take Mama's background. Hold on a second. There we go. Looks better. Um, but I'm glad that you were able to join me last minute. I think we have quite a bit of things that we can discuss. One of the things that I wanted to talk about first was I thought perhaps you could talk a little bit about your trip to Delphi that you took just a couple weeks back.
Sure. Yeah.
And I thought we could discuss that a little bit. And I think everybody will be really appreciative to hear um, your thoughts on that while you were there. Um, let's see. The other thing, what was it? Oh, the other topic that I wanted to discuss tonight, and I know you will help me with that, is ethics. And I thought that it was very important that we start talking a little bit more about ethics and integrity um, and things that are surrounding this case. And after today, I really appreciate. I mean, I just really think it's important. So, how did you want to go with this? Do you want me to ask you questions, or do you want to just say what you're thinking? However you feel, whatever you feel. I'm
Um, I used to teach ethics. I should have found a lesson plan so I'd be up ready to go with some
I love it.
buzzwords. Don't have
Go
any
ahead.
buzzwords or anything.
I was just going to say, go ahead and give us a lesson.
I, I, I used to do it. I think it was a 2-hour class I used to have to teach, but well, it's kind of a common sense thing. But we can maybe get in that later. Maybe when Steve gets here. Is Steve coming on, or is he going to be in the
Steve,
chat?
True Crime Web, when he's done, he's going to be in the chat. I can
Oh,
definitely invite him to come up with us. That's totally fine. I know he will if I ask, but that's however you want to do it.
whatever. He might. I don't know. Either way, I mean, he's a great guy.
Oh yeah,
Happy to
he
share anything with him.
he really is, and he had a great live tonight. He's always on right before me on Saturday nights, and his live tonight was about luminol, and he showed us all how luminol works on a shirt with handprints and blood, and I mean, it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I caught him a couple nights ago when he was doing some blood stains on his pants, and I didn't catch the whole show, but very informative, very, very good for the general public to see that stuff. He's doing a
It
great
was,
job.
and he told us tonight that he actually has set up um, a fake crime scene outdoors. He did this a couple weeks or 3 weeks back, and he's going to go out and see what has happened to that mock crime scene
Yeah.
with all the weather and stuff, and kind of show us that too.
I think people that follow him are going to learn a lot. When he first started, I thought, well, who's this guy? And it took me about 2 times watching him on different lives. And I thought, oh, yeah, this guy's going to be just fine.
Oh yeah,
But
he's
yeah, I think he's a wealth of knowledge, and people are going to enjoy him. He's got such a nice, even keel. There's no BS in any fashion at all. It's just right from the hip, and it's right on.
yeah, he really is, and the stuff that he's going to be doing, going to help families on the missing cases that are the cold cases. I think that's just commendable for him to be out there. Going to be, he's going to start doing that next month. So
Yeah.
I just
And
think
a
that's amazing.
nice bonus is he's got Mrs. Steve right there helping him, and that works out.
Exactly.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah, it is for sure. So yeah, he told me he would definitely be here, so we can look
Great.
forward to
Great.
that. So tell me what was this your first trip to Delphi? Let's talk about that first. And
Yeah, it was the
and what
first
was
trip.
your thoughts?
Well, I actually did a video when I got back, and I decided not to put it up because I said some things that I probably shouldn't have said. They were more like my beliefs on some things. So I'm glad I did not put it up. But I guess, I met Gonzo there. We both traveled there. The first thing we did, we hooked up downtown Delphi, and we went directly over to the trail. He'd been there before. Interesting little hike. It's all asphalt now, very nice. Right up to the bridge. And it was just an odd feeling being there on that bridge. The hike was very nice and peaceful, but as soon as that bridge came into view and you walk up to the edge of it, it just hits you like, oh my God, what happened here? Gonzo did quite a bit of hiking around. He crossed the bridge like a dancer, of course, and I went maybe a quarter of the way out, and that was enough for me. We did some measuring, some times, and I found it really interesting. Gonzo went across the bridge, and then he went down the hill on that southeast side of the bridge, through the woods, through the brush, I should say, down to a point where he thought maybe we'd been told that they might have crossed to the other side. I'll get back to that. Excuse me. I'll get back to that in a second. It took him considerable time to get there. When he came back across the bridge, we timed him. Now, keep in mind, he's an athlete. He had cowboy boots on, but he did it in less than 4 minutes. It was like 3 minutes, 45 seconds, I believe. If he sticks his nose in here later, he can tell you exactly the seconds, but faster than anybody I've ever heard crossing the bridge. I've heard a lot of people have done it in 5.5 minutes or 6 minutes. That's kind of an average speed, I think. And he wasn't, rushing it. He just walked at a normal pace. But for him, that's different than most people. So it can be crossed in 4 minutes. I guess my point being, from what we've been told and what we've been led to believe, people that have kind of created a narrative for things, not necessarily from law enforcement, but from YouTubers, that the girls were approached on the south side of the bridge, down the hill at some point, and across the river to where they were found the next day. I'll just say this. I'm not going to go into details. This is why I didn't post the video, because I broke it down a lot more. But the time frames related to when Libby allegedly took the picture of Abby on the bridge, when she started filming Bridge Guy, don't match up with some other things that I've noticed, and I'll leave it at that. It takes longer to get to these locations I just talked about than information that we've received. And if people do their own research, they can see how long it would take to get to Ron Logan's property. Let's just put it that way. And if you somehow thought they came back across the bridge and got to Logan's property from the north side, again, the time doesn't work out. And I would say, well, another hint would be if you check the FBI warrant on Logan's property, the search warrant
Yep.
affidavit, which was done on March, I believe, of 17. You can, if you're curious, you can kind of check some times there and see, something doesn't seem right here.
Mm-hmm.
So that opened a lot of doors for me. And Gonzo and I stood there and discussed different theories. And it's a lot easier to do when you're there live, standing there watching the bridge and the river. And
When you're on the bridge, Perry, and you're standing there and you see all of that, and you see how big the area is and actually how small the area is, does it give you a different perspective than when you have seen all the photos and all the videos of others? Is it kind of like, does it kind of like shock you that it's different, so different when you're there?
yeah, for sure. I would say for the first 2 minutes, neither one of us said a word. We just stood there and looked around. We walked out 50 feet or so on the bridge and just took it in for a little bit. Then we kind of put a game plan together of what we wanted to accomplish. And, we could have taken a bunch of pictures and posted them and done a video on that. Maybe that's where the ethics comes in. We just didn't feel it was necessary. Enough of that's been done. But it was interesting to get a real feel for it, to actually walk it, realize how long it takes, and just to see it and feel it.
Uh-huh.
We went from there back downtown Delphi, walked around, and interesting little town. It's similar to the size of town that I live in now. Found it very clean, very well kept, actually. I think one of the most disappointing things for me, there were still remnants of Abby and Libby around town, different places. And Gonzo, I think, took pictures of this. There were these big posters in one window of Libby and Abby and the two sketches of our suspects. And they were all wrinkled and curling up on the side. And it was just kind of sad that nobody could put new posters in the window. So it just kind of showed that Delphi is going on about their business. And unfortunately, the girls are kind of on the back burner. And it's understandable to some extent. But it's a nice little town. Nobody pestered us, and we certainly tried to be low key. We had breakfast there. Great little restaurant. It was real nice, and happy, friendly people. Nice little town. We then went over to Flora.
Tell me how you felt about when you visited Flora.
Yeah, Flora. Ooh, completely different. It's not a town. It's more of a village, very, very small. It almost felt like a ghost town. As we walked around, we saw very few people. We saw very little traffic on the roads. And it almost felt like people were peering out the window, watching us, like, who are these guys? Kind of a feel. Going on the porch of that house where the girls perished was really an awakening, very emotional feeling. All of their little stuffed animals and everything are still on the porch. The smoke stains, of course, are still there. Very
Don't they
sad.
have like didn't I see in the photos they have like bins of toys maybe that have been left there for the
Yeah, the
girls?
porch. Yeah, there's several big rubber bins just full of their toys. Most of it like stuffed animal type things. Very, very emotional feeling being on that porch. Real similar to the feeling we had as we stepped on the bridge. But the worst of it is we walked from there over to where the fire station is. I believe it's 2.5 blocks. And it's just unbelievable that it took so long for somebody to get there to try to rescue those girls. Very sad, very sad. They come out of the station, make a right turn, over half a block, make a right turn, 2 blocks, make a left turn, and they're there. Very sad. It's a 2-minute drive.
It's incredible, isn't it? And I think you said something about, you made a comment about being from a small town, you couldn't imagine them 500 yards away and not getting there sooner.
Yeah. I live in a town bigger than Flora, and we have a volunteer fire department. And being the police chief here for a long time, I had plenty of run-ins with the fire department. They're on their own agenda, and sometimes they're in my way, and sometimes I'm in their way. But when everything hits the fan, everybody tries to work together. And I guarantee you, the people in my town would have been to that station, got their bunker gear on those rigs and out of there, and they would have been at the scene in 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the most, guys that had to drive there from their homes. It's 3:30 in the morning, so it does take a few minutes to get out of bed and get in your car and get there. But I don't know. I'm really disappointed.
I think that to hear you say that is something that just boggles my mind, because I've always felt that way about that fire department. So I'm really glad you went. I'm glad that you got to see things firsthand and that you were able to bring back information from there, and especially how you felt about things. It's just, like I said, it's just so heartbreaking, and it's important that we continue to cover Flora, which I totally and absolutely intend on doing, because the girls need justice just as bad as the Delphi girls. So.
Absolutely. And we did, we made a lot of noise here 6 weeks ago or so, and I think we woke some people up, and that's good.
I think we did. I guarantee. I think we have, and I think there's been a lot of things happening.
Boy,
yeah.
That county.
And, yeah, for sure. Hey Gonzo, how are you, bud?
Good.
So good to see you. So you and I'm just going to get into this. You and I, hey Marv, hey Frank, thank you guys so much for your super chat. Perry, I agree with Perry as well. The timeline has never made sense to me. In this case, it has just never has. Everything is so tight with the timeline. And I know that at one point, law enforcement said that YouTubers had it wrong. So I go back to, and we've talked about this, where does the timeline in this case come from? And so, it's like, hold on. Okay. So anyway, sorry about that. And I just, I'm just trying to figure out how to get into this without really causing a stir. So on Thursday night, I talked about a certain podcast, The Murder Sheet, who released information on Thursday that I felt was information that should never, ever have been released. And I believe that it was ethically wrong, morally wrong, professionally, integrity. I believe that they have completely lost their integrity if they were trying to shoot for that. And I voiced that on Thursday night. And then you brought up, or you made a video talking to us all about what this can do from the law enforcement perspective of the case.
And If I can just butt in for a second,
Go right on ahead.
look what happened today. A
Exactly.
rumor took off because of what you're talking about.
Yep.
Everybody jumped and went crazy. I bet I had 25 texts in the first 30 minutes of that.
It was unbelievable what happened. I wasn't home when it started, and my phone wouldn't stop, and my email was overloaded. I haven't even read all the emails that I have, but my phone was going absolutely bonkers, and I was trying desperately to verify everything that happened today, and we can get into that a little bit, but I just want to say that this is the kind of thing that we're talking about when we have people out there who are claiming that they have inside information. And what upsets me about the murder sheet is, yeah, well, there's the First Amendment and people have the right to say things. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about a open double murder investigation. We have people's lives are at risk. Police officers' lives are at risk. Defendants' lives are at risk. Any witness to this crime is at risk.
Yep.
At any given moment. We do not have anyone behind bars for this crime yet. So when you go out there and start putting out information that's so unbelievably unprofessional, in my opinion, and yours, and you're a law enforcement officer, retired, with many, many years on the job. I respect you so, so much. And Steve, True Crime Web's in here. Steve feels the same way. This was very irresponsible. They should never have put out and said what they did. It's put people at risk. What I want to also talk about with that is that the murder sheet has made it clear pretty much by dropping all of this information since February that they have the inside source. And not only does everyone on social media believe that, but so does the media. They've been on every single Indianapolis station and interviewed. They've been interviewed by national media. They were on Good Morning America, for God's sakes. All these people now trust them. So when they put something out like that, they're going to believe them.
That's right? What they're about. That's what they're about.
Exactly. And so when you have a source that goes to you, because you and I know that there's sources out there, we have them, and we've never put anything out. We've never talked about any of this.
No, and I want to qualify that. Anything, and I'm sure you're the same way, anything that I know that has been entrusted to me that has any validity at all has gone to the tip line or emails or whatever to the authorities.
Same.
And believe me, a number of us have much more information than those two have.
Exactly.
Let's just leave it at that.
And we do. And what upsets me is that you try to speak out about this and try to educate people in a calm and a rational manner, and everybody attacks you because that is how hungry they are for any information on this case. They feel they're owed this information for some reason.
Yeah, I know. I heard that from even some creators. Like, really? Stop and think of the repercussions here. And again, look what we saw today. All it took was somebody, and it may not even been intentional. It could have been, I think so-and-so was arrested, and boom, it took off. Who knows where it started? And we may never know. But
exactly.
Look at what happened. How many people went live instantly?
Yep. I chose not to. I absolutely chose not to. I was like, I'm not
that there's anything wrong with the others that did. They were just doing what they felt was right. Nothing wrong with that.
Because they want to know, and they know their subscribers and the people that follow them want to know.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I was so emotionally up in the roller coaster going up and down with you guys all afternoon on trying to verify all of this information. And
You said Gonzo's in the chat?
yeah, Gonzo's in the chat.
And I think I mentioned this to him in a text earlier today, but people were saying, Gonzo's there. Have him go knock on the door. Gonzo's there. I mean, I'm pretty sure Gonzo was not there.
Gonzo was not there. I was basically on the phone with Gonzo and Perry, and I can guarantee you Gonzo was not there. But it's like, that's what I mean. People are saying things, and then one person says something, then another person adds on, and another person. Somebody told me that the helicopters that were supposedly glowing, all the helicopters that were going to Peru, there was a air show in Logansport. That air show is next weekend. There is no air show in Logansport, Indiana this weekend. So I'm like, I mean, it's just, you don't know what to think about it. And what I can tell you is, I want to put this up on the screen, Perry. Give me a second to find it. Hold on a minute. Because this really says it all. And love her to death, but Kelsey knows, and she's in the know, and the family's going to know first. And she says, she tweeted this. Hold on. There we are. Right here. Don't believe everything you read on the internet. Trust me, when an arrest is made, law enforcement and our families will post updates. There you got it. You really don't need to hear anymore, because anybody in this case that's going to hear, it's going to be the families first. Law enforcement's going to reach out to them when an arrest has been made and let them know. And then let them know that there'll be a forthcoming press conference or whatever. They're not going to just let the family, I don't think, find out by the news.
No, absolutely not. And, early on in this thing today, somebody was texting that there were 25 or 30 state patrol cars from Lafayette heading to Delphi. Well,
yes.
Why would they be going to Delphi? But anyway, I've been in some really high risk raids with DEA, FBI, SWAT teams, and all that. And we've never taken 25 or 30 vehicles. We might take 5 or 6. And I've been on several that we ran, from Colorado Springs to Denver at high speeds at 2 a.m. and kicked in, labs and those kind of things. But we never had 25 units. Somebody threw out that there was a law enforcement funeral going on today. That makes more sense.
Look who I got with us.
Hey, dude.
What's going on, guys?
Hey there, buddy. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. I might not have very good service here. I just thought I'd swing in and say hi.
I think you've got great service. I can see you and I can hear you.
Sweet. There we go.
That's all I need.
I'm trying to just keep up with what you guys got going on, but yeah, it's been a wild day. Understandable.
Yeah, I know. I lived it with you. Perry was
Absolutely.
just saying that somebody posted while he was talking to you and I that you were actually in Delphi.
That's how fast it goes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said, somebody contact Gonzo. Just have him go to the house. Have him go knock on the door. He'll do it.
Yeah.
Really?
That's how this stuff works, unfortunately. If we've learned anything, things will spread like wildfire and misinformation goes real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it does.
No, I'm in the Rocky Mountains. But
you're in Colorado?
Oh, I'm in Wyoming.
Okay.
Yep, I'm home for a couple days, so I'll be in Colorado tomorrow or the next day. So
that's right. You told me that.
Yep.
That's good.
Yep.
It's always
Yeah,
good.
Yeah, it was good, Perry, detailing our trip out there. It was really interesting. Every time I go out, it's, I learn something new. It was good to have another set of eyes and have Perry's expertise out there to help out. And, I think just all of us just putting our nose to the grindstone on this thing, staying true, keeping the integrity intact. If that's anything that we can preach right now, it's been tight. This is no time to, get loosey goosey and lose something, in the media. So
Yeah.
it's time to keep it buttoned up and do everything right. Make sure us and our we process.
Totally understand that, because we have to, as you always say, we have to keep a level head. We have to kind of slow down. We have to trust the process, and let law enforcement dictate when everything's supposed to happen. What upsets me so badly about what happened today is the family and what this does to them. This is more to me than just a rumor. This is absolutely, if this was purposely done by someone, and that was brought up to me. Somebody sent me a message and said, what if so and so planned this and wanted this out there that way to create all this confusion or commotion? Whatever, whoever would do that, they need to check in the hospital somewhere for a psych evaluation, because this is beyond mean and cruel.
That's true. Yeah, it'd be a sick joke. This is nothing to play with right now. This is heavy stuff. It's been going on 5+ years, and we don't want to get in the way of answers and justice. I mean, justice comes right behind truth, and we got to find the truth, and we got to trust that they're doing everything in their power to get there, and we can't get in their way. We could say this is the 9th inning or the 4th quarter. We got to keep it tight.
Yeah, you couldn't have said it better. We got to stay out of their way, and
Exactly.
And
We
the
have to
timeline
let them do their job.
that they had planned is already screwed up. That happened.
Yep.
Day before
Perry, will you
yesterday.
explain that again? Can you just explain that just a little bit more than you did in your video about what happens when what was released by the murder sheet? What can that do to law enforcement's plan of action going forward from the search?
Well, I would bet that at least a couple of detectives that are close to the case and working it, as soon as they heard that, they probably threw their cups of coffee across the room, and some obscenities probably filled the area. Law enforcement would have a plan on what they're going to do, a timeline, things that still need to be done, tighten everything up. There's only one shot, and they've talked about that many times. They talked about that in the first press conference. We can't make any mistakes, is what I think they said. So be patient with us. It's that big. We can't make any mistakes. It's very complicated. And so they're trying to put this puzzle together, and when it's time to jump on somebody, they're going to jump on them. But because of something that just happened, boom, all of a sudden, oh, great. Now what are we going to do? So now they're in a reaction stage, and it screwed them up. Now they've got to rethink everything. What's the priority? What do we have to get done? Boom, 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 before we move. And then there's the whole danger aspect, which we won't even get into, but that's been covered.
Speaks for itself.
Yeah, but what's sad is that there's so many people out there that don't even understand the danger aspect of it. They just think you're crazy.
Yeah, apparently you ran into that. My video did, it kind of took off for a while. It's funny. Gonzo always says you're only as good as your last video. And he's so right. It took off like a jet, and the guys, within 12, 18, 16 hours, it's over. But anyway, I had at least 99% of positive comments.
Yep.
And I understand that you had some negative
I
feedback.
had really good ones on YouTube. My last YouTube video on Thursday night where I did get really upset with the murder sheet, I got 2,500 views right now, I think, and 99% likes. So people were receptive in a good way about what I said. But I actually shared your video on my Delphi daughter's channel on Reddit and got eaten alive. And then when I posted it in the Libby and Abby sub, it was even worse. I even went in and turned off the comments because I was like, I'm done. I can't listen to this because
So that just shows that those people really don't see the big picture and they don't understand the chain of events that have happened. And, I don't want to give away too much, but like I said, other people have more information than those two people have. And it's been given to the authorities, and that's who should be dealing with it, not the public. And nobody
right.
should be throwing that info out. So
Yep.
it's just sad.
Anything that I've
It's
been
just sad.
given, I've turned over. And I know
But
that you guys have too. So
but those people that are being negative, they don't understand that. And I'm not condemning them. They just don't see the big picture. They haven't watched close enough to understand
yep.
what's really going on.
And we just have to, I've said it before, we have to be careful, and it's important how we tell these stories. It's important how we cover them. And we just lost Gonzo. He didn't leave on purpose. He's just driving, I'm sure. But we just have to be careful. And I think, with integrity and with facts. And the thing that got me, like I started to say earlier about them, is because, in my opinion, it's called burning a source. A source gave them information that they were told not to release. Absolutely, you do not have permission to release that. So it's kind of like being off the record as a journalist. You're told this is off the record.
Yep.
Don't put it on your record. Don't share it.
You nailed it.
And they did. And when you burn a source, you lose your credibility.
So that plays into ethics, doesn't it?
It does. It plays into ethics. It plays into integrity, into your moral compass. It plays into what is your real reason for covering this case?
To get attention, to get viewers, to look like you're out in front of everybody.
It's what it seems like. I mean, I've said it before. I don't have to be right. I don't have to have the right story or the right POI. I'm here because I want justice for Abby and for Libby.
Absolutely.
That's it. I'm not here to grow a YouTube channel. I'm thrilled with my channel. I'm thrilled with the people who come and support me, but that's not the reason I'm here.
Yeah. And a lot of the comments I got said just that. This isn't about being first at anything or putting yourself on a pedestal. It's about Libby and Abby.
Yeah.
I had at least half of my comments mention Libby and Abby.
Yep. Because to me, that's what this is all about. And they get forgotten. These were human beings. These were young girls who had their whole lives ahead of them. And we just talk about them like they're numbers, It's just like, I don't understand how people tend to forget that, that they were real people and that there's real families who are hurting. And oh, it's okay, Gonzo. I knew that we lost you. Why we lost you? You're fine. Drive safe. So talk about ethics. You talk about what you taught or just some of the stuff.
Oh, don't put me on the spot.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to.
Yeah, I should have pulled out a lesson plan. Well, it's common sense in law enforcement. Contrary to what the public believes, most law enforcement officers, departments are ethical. And you'll see the code of ethics is part of their training right from the beginning. There's a list and each department has their own, but there'll be some type of code of ethics. And if Steve's on here, he'll confirm that. And they might be worded differently, but basically it comes down to, do the right thing. Don't cut any corners. Just do the right thing is what it really comes down to. One of the sergeants in the homicide unit on the back of his door, so when you go in the office and the door was closed, I won't be able to remember everything, but he had like 10 sayings. If it's not against the law, if it's not against policy, if it's going to help the case, about 10 things like that. If it's ethical, the bottom line was, you don't have to ask me, go do it, was the thing. You're your own man or woman, as long as it's ethical, was basically what that sign said. Just go do it, as long as it's ethical.
Right. Because, I know that law enforcement does pay attention to social media, and that social media has helped in cases. I'm very well aware of that. We know of cases in the very, just recently that were helped by law enforcement. The Kylie Rodney case, or law enforcement by social media. The Kylie Rodney case, someone reached out to Adventures with Purpose, who has a huge YouTube channel, huge following, to help them. Can you please go help them? They can't find her. To me, that was a help by social media. So many of their subscribers reached out to them and said, here's this case, you need to check it out. And they were able to locate her. We all know what happened in the case last year with Gabby Petito. One person on social media happened to also be a van traveler that went around and traveled around in their van, and her family happened to catch that picture of Gabby's van sitting there off the side of that road. And when she went through her family photos from the trip, she found it.
That's
Law
right.
enforcement went out there, and that's how they recovered Gabby's body. So, I mean, social media can play a good role and a positive role, but it also can be extremely damaging.
And I'll just throw out, trying to think. I know Gonzo has been contacted by family members of victims after law enforcement has done their initial assessment. And Gabby Petito case is a good example. Gonzo was contacted by family members. I think on the other two girls that were killed in kind of in the area. I'm pretty sure one of the fathers there contacted him also. And that happens. And they contact those people like Gonzo, because of social media. They've seen him. They understand what he does.
Exactly.
And I think social media is very important. But we have seen how it can go off the rails in just the last couple of days.
Yeah, no, exactly. And it's and it really can it just can really go fast, because I mean, what happened today, it went from the first, I know exactly what I heard first. I got a text that told me that 25 to 30 ISP vehicles were headed towards Delphi on the Hoosier Heartland Highway. And I was like, whoa, what the heck's going on in Delphi, And then obviously the next thing I hear is that there was a possible arrest of Tony Klein. And I'm like, what? I mean, and then, then we had the fleet of helicopters that was heading towards Peru from Indianapolis. And there were reports that there were police cars flying around Peru, just driving really fast all around. And there was just all kinds of things. Channels put out that there was going to be a press conference at 6 p.m. by WTHR out of Indianapolis. I also heard somebody say Fox 59 was going to cover it. Of course, we all sat there with bated, holding our, fingers crossed. The time went by.
Yeah.
No press conference. It's, I know what, like I said, what the emotions did to me. I can imagine what it did to everyone else that once this case solved so badly. Yeah. It's truly sad, but
as you were talking, I flashed on when I checked email. What was it, Thursday, when those two released that information? This is Saturday, right? Yeah. So it's all over the internet. I'm jumping from channel to channel. It's like, they just said that the red Jeep and all that stuff. And I know, like I said, I know about the red Jeep. Let me just put it that way. I was furious.
I know.
I didn't know what to do. I was beside myself.
I know.
And the next morning, I contacted you for one.
You did, right?
But I had contact with the person that shared that information with me. Let's put it that way. And at that point, I said, I'm going up and do a video right now while I'm fired up. And it's a good thing I didn't do it the day before, because it would have been much worse.
I thought your video was so well done. Somebody said to me, man, why do I feel like he just spanked me? But it was like, you did it. I could hear it. I could tell that you were angry, but you weren't angry. You know what I mean? It was like, Perry's trying to hold it in because he is really ticked off by what.
Ticked off is the best we can put it. Yeah.
I mean, with, we're live on the air, but yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable.
Well, that side of me was real good at doing interviews when you want to get a confession from somebody.
Oh, I bet. Because
didn't always work.
Yeah, you feel that anger. It's like I said, it was, I'm glad I had a few hours to decompress a little bit with my emotions before I did my live tonight, because 3 hours ago, you would not have wanted me to be on live because I was not in a good place. And I went from being hopeful cautiously,
sure.
But I also have always told myself, unless I see Doug Carter standing in front of a TV camera telling me that he caught him finally, that I wasn't going to believe anything. And even today, I kind of let that go because I got wrapped up in what was being said, and some of it seemed plausible. And when I found out that, as Gonzo, Fig, the core people that I share my personal stuff with, once they started telling me, we can't corroborate this, there's no way we're finding this out, this doesn't seem to be real, I lost it. I was just like, who does this? Who goes out? And this isn't like just a rumor. This is far worse, because this is a rumor about an arrest. It's not a rumor about a POI. It's a rumor about an arrest.
Yeah, I tried to stay real low key on that and communicated with you two and a couple of other people. But all I could think about is, what did law enforcement lose? Assuming they had made an arrest, can you only imagine what they've lost? Because of that timeline that they have right now, their plan has been messed up.
Mm-hmm. Well, for one, everybody has just tipped off whoever it might be, right?
Yeah.
Look what's happening. And if there's, like I said on Thursday night, if there are more people involved in this than what we imagine, we just let everybody know what's going on. And
oh yeah, they even had the dog arrested today. It was amazing.
Yeah, they had the dog arrested. They even took the dog. I'm just like,
They dealt with that dog a long time ago, actually, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm like, what is going on? So here's I don't know if you want to address this question, but here
No,
the question.
just kidding. Go ahead.
I know. Can someone explain how they put people in danger by releasing the information? I don't like murder sheets, but can't figure out how they could physically hurt someone. Not the murder sheet hurting someone. Do you want to answer it?
Sorry, I got a puppy here that's wanting attention. Well, let's just take the person that supposedly made this statement. Snitches end up in ditches. I'll just say that.
So there's your answer. What I said on Thursday night when people were telling me that they couldn't understand how Keegan would be in jeopardy, he's in custody. All I said one word. I said two words: Jeffrey Epstein.
That's it. You did, and that was right on. Perfectly said. Yep. You nailed it.
So you can send people over the edge. You can cause them to commit suicide. You can cause all kinds of things. There's just all kinds of things that can happen here. It's like, use your heads, people, I mean, it's just, I don't know. I don't understand how.
And I can understand why, the public asks those questions. Don't take that wrong. Whoever asked that question.
Right.
That's fine. You don't understand. That's understandable. But, I've been in this business all my life. I grew up in a cop house. My brother's still a cop, basically. He's an investigator. He's a retired cop and an investigator for the district attorney's office in Colorado. My uncle was a cop. I grew up with it. I've been around it since I was like 5 or 6 years old. I told, I live and breathe it still. I just can't leave it. So it's common sense to me, but I understand why the public doesn't see all that.
Yeah, and his follow-up was, thanks, he understands now, but would the world be missing anything if Kagan wasn't here anymore? They would if he was witness. They would if he was a witness to this.
And we'll use the word if he's a witness to something.
If he's a witness to something,
there's your case.
The world would be missing it, because
that's the biggest part of the case. If it's true,
we wouldn't be able to
qualify that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like,
it's just like,
no, you're good, Alex. I'm most definitely always ask if you don't know.
Absolutely. Don't anybody be offended by the way I respond to something. Sometimes I'm a little rough on the edges. But, let's just say, and we've had other people confess to not only this crime, but other crimes. Let's say the John Benet Ramsey case, if you think back on that. There's been several people, confess to doing that crime. So law enforcement has to look into it. They have to corroborate or eliminate that person. They have to handle it as if it's the real deal, and they've got to do a full case and interview and all the circumstances involved, physical evidence, like I've always said, the motive, the opportunity, and the means to commit the crime. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just looking at some of this.
I don't know how you folks that do lives can monitor the chat and maintain control of it. What I do is I don't think I could do that.
As I'm talking to you and you're answering, I'm looking at questions and marking them so we can go back at the end to go over some questions. But Bridget wanted to know, law enforcement would be protecting this monster to get to trial, wouldn't they, Perry?
At this point, does that question mean at this point? Yeah, or after there's an arrest of somebody?
She's talking about Kagan, I think. They want to protect him until there's a trial if he is a witness.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. In that case, absolutely. Yes, they would.
Yes.
But like you said, Epstein was supposed to have been on watch too. And
Yeah, he was supposed to be on a watch, and it still happened. And he was in a federal facility. I mean,
yeah, we better not go there. That gets pretty complicated,
but
but
yeah,
it
I
is
mean,
still for an example. It works
it
pretty
is a
good.
good example. Um, but hey, Michelle, thanks for joining, my dear. Yeah, Perry Freeman is the real deal. You can guarantee that. Um, I just I don't know. Are you, after the search stopped, how are you feeling about that now that the search is over? Are you feeling just like, I mean, they were in there for a long time, you know, they were in there for over 4 weeks.
Yep.
And
In a nutshell, I think they found
what,
some, if not all, what they were looking for.
all of what they were looking for. Okay.
And anybody that was throwing out that it's training, and maybe they tried to, you know, appease people by saying that in the beginning. But believe me, I mean, I spent over 3 years in a training academy as an instructor, and we did training constantly. And I did in-service training with active, veteran officers all the time. And believe me, it doesn't last 4 hours or 4 weeks.
4
It just
weeks.
doesn't happen. There's hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in that river.
Exactly. And
There's something very, very important in there. My gut feeling is they found it.
same. And what I also tried to tell everyone is that I looked it up. The Indianapolis dive team, the Indiana State Police dive team, they have their own training facility. They have their own training area. It's like their own mini lake. It's like a pond lake kind of thing where they train. So they don't have to use a river to train in.
No, and they might use a river, but it would be a 1-day exercise or something.
Exactly. It would not be 4
not
weeks.
over a month.
Not over a month. Exactly. So
and it wasn't a 5-day work week either. They were working pretty much every day.
No, exactly. I think it shows, if nothing else, it shows the determination of the Indiana State Police.
Yeah, I
People
think you're
who've
right.
been talking about them and saying negative things about
Yeah.
they're not working this case, it's cold. I think we can guarantee it's not.
I think, you made a comment about that I might have been a little emotional and ticked when I did my video. I've seen some of that in Doug Carter, just a bit of it. I think when this is done, when the conclusion comes, and it's coming, I don't think he will be able to control himself. I think it'll come out. The emotions will just pour out of him. He is so wrapped up in this. And just like you say, not just him, but all of these investigators that have been working on this for almost, over 5.5 years. They're going to be so relieved. And that's what ticks me. They had a plan here. Things were developing, and it got messed up, and they had to rethink everything. And that's what they're doing right now. And so when we heard this rumor today, it's like, okay, it forced their hand. But apparently that was somebody either playing a game or somebody misunderstood something, and it got out of control.
Yeah, it's, for sure. And somebody in the chat asked whether or not we believe that the search in the Wabash River in Peru is related to Delphi. I firmly believe it's related to Delphi. I don't think there's any question. And
Absolutely.
I think, Perry does too. So, yeah. Welcome, Captain, and welcome, Hoosier. So glad to see both of you. I agree. I think Doug Carter is going to erupt with emotion when this is done. And he's been called a lot of things, and said a lot of people have said a lot of things about him over the last 5.5 years. But I've always stuck with, I firmly believe the emotion that he has shown us is real. That man was completely gutted the day that he was in those woods and saw that crime scene, and to the point that he drove home a different route and had no music, nothing, just silence, because he needed to process what he saw.
Yeah. And children affect you completely differently. I've seen hundreds of scenes. But when they're children, it just has a different effect on you for sure. And this one sounds like it was a horrible, horrible scene. Just leave it at that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
When Doug Carter, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, you're fine. Go ahead.
Speaking of Doug Carter, I've tried to support him all through this since I've been involved, and he has taken a lot of flack. I worked for some wonderful supervisors. I would have loved to work under Douglas Carter. But the end of that first press conference, he speaks to the killer, something like, we won't quit. We'll find you, something to that effect. But he finished it with, to Libby and Abby, my hope and my prayer is that you are experiencing God's eternal peace, I believe was something close to that. Mm-hmm. And that was very emotional. And there was just silence in the room.
Yes.
And he's committed.
Yeah. And when he said, I know, when he was speaking directly to Bridge Guy, and he said, the way that you left them in that woods is not what they're experiencing today.
Right.
I mean, he knows where they are. And that was very emotional for me too, because I realize that, they're not. And, thankfully, but him, and the fact that even the stuff that's been said about Tobe Lesenby, Tobe talked about the fact that he has the Bridge Guy video from Libby's phone on his phone, and he has the audio recording. And when he's home, he'll sit on his couch and look at it and listen to it. And I remember him talking about that in an interview, and was very emotional when he was talking about it. And I know that he said that he knows that voice. He feels like he knows that voice. And as a police officer, that's got to be awful to think, you've probably, I don't know, interviewed hundreds and thousands of people over your career, and to think that maybe that voice, but you can't pinpoint it in a double murder of children. It had to eat at him.
Yeah, and we don't know if the person that he's recognizing in that voice is actually the Bridge Guy or the killer or whatever, because I have the same situation. Every time I hear that recording, I have a friend basically in law enforcement, and it sounds just like him. Sounds just like him. I've listened to it hundreds of times.
Yep.
And it's him, but he lives where I live, and there's no way. But exactly. But I know if I ever hear the Bridge Guy say those words, I'll say, that sounds just like so and so, and I won't throw that name out, of course. But yeah, you do associate it at least with someone's voice, and if it's somebody he actually has heard, we don't know. But that would be even more so. And I think that poor sheriff never expected anything like this. He's thankful that he got all the help that he did from outside right away. I mean, the FBI was there right away. Indiana State Patrol, State Police was there right away. Sometimes it's just, sometimes you're just, a little over your head. You need help. And we used the FBI, we used DEA, U.S. Marshals, and we used them all when we could.
Yeah, and speaking of the U.S. Marshals, Doug Carter talked to us in February about them and told us that they're working with them. So we know the Marshals are involved in this case, and that they're using them. And I think that there's, I still feel to this day that they're using the FBI. I don't see why they wouldn't be.
Oh,
I
of
think
course
they
they
would
are.
I think they would be absolutely stupid if they weren't using the FBI. So, but there's nothing wrong with them asking for help.
And I'm going to just throw this out about the U.S. Marshals. I've worked with all the federal agencies over times. I was actually a U.S. Marshal sworn for a while when I was undercover. Our whole unit, most of our unit was. But I have a lot of respect for them. I worked with a lot of DEA. I mean, we were in narcotics. DEA was, weekly situation. But the U.S. Marshals that I worked around looked more like a regular street person. They had a different approach to everything. They were all very, very good. And if you needed somebody to go undercover that was federal, I'd want U.S. Marshals. And that may have been what he was referring to.
For sure. That's good information to know, because I didn't know that part about them, that they would go undercover.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
I've worked with him.
they
I've worked with
definitely
him.
do a lot more than just transport prisoners between
Oh
states,
God, yeah.
don't they?
I worked with him here in this little town I'm in, and they had called me, said they were coming, and I was going to meet them like at 5 a.m, and they were going to go into a few houses. And when they walked in, it's like, whoa, it's the way I used to look, I mean, it's like, all right, this should be easy. They were good, very good.
Yeah, somebody just commented in chat about how a lot of law enforcement have PTSD for some of the things that they have witnessed over time. I can't imagine how you wouldn't have, because of the things that you have to see.
It takes a toll. There's no doubt.
Most definitely. I have a lot of respect not only for the U.S. Marshals, CJK, but for all law enforcement, and especially nowadays with what they have to work with. Such budget cuts, and they just work most of the time. They don't have enough help, long hours, and then what's out on the street against them, it's just difficult at best.
Yeah, and then you've got the press jumping on every little mistake, and it's unfortunate they blow those out of proportion. They don't see the 99% of good things that law enforcement does daily. They kind of ignore that.
Right.
Once in a while, they'll show, oh, here's a cop playing basketball with a kid in the street or something. Yeah, that's all great. Happens all the time. But a mass of mistakes that they make, and they make
Right.
mistakes every day too. We've all made mistakes.
And I try to tell that to my subscribers and the people who watch me. It's really easy for us to be armchair quarterbacks and to sit here and, look at things after the fact and call people out. But you're not there. You're not making those snap decisions that have to happen. And they're all human, and they do make mistakes. Mistakes happen in every case, I'm sure. I mean, I don't see how it possibly can't. And then when you do have multi jurisdictions, the communication between them, sometimes there's breakdown, sometimes things don't go as planned. But I was just talking recently on one of my lives about, well, it's out by you. You probably heard about it. The FBI did a huge takedown just not too long ago from the Omaha field office. There was like 46, maybe it wasn't 46, but maybe it was 30 some children that they rescued from trafficking, but they broke up this huge ring, and there was the agent in charge was interviewed, and he said it took them 9 months to plan the raid of that takedown when they took them all down, because it was not just multi-jurisdictional, but it was different states that they had all these people in, and they had to raid all at the same time because they didn't want people to run. They didn't want people to get rid of evidence, and they didn't want anybody killed. They didn't want any of these children or other victims hurt.
Yeah. The general public doesn't understand how huge what law enforcement is doing daily. And there's so many of us that, it's just, there's so much going on any minute of any day all over the country. And the coordination that you get with other agencies, egos get in the way once in a while, especially when you're dealing with the feds. But, they're not any smarter than the rest of us. And we need their resources. But I can't think of the hundreds of times we had to reach out to other states, to other agencies, to the feds, whatever. And boom, you got, it's just like you're working with your brothers and you've never met them before, but everything usually goes pretty smooth.
Right.
It's a brotherhood for sure.
And Woodland Star, you're right. We do take those protecting us for granted until we're in a situation where we need them. And we are very, very lucky and thankful for all the law enforcement officers who serve in our country, because it's not an easy job. And unfortunately, I think the odds are out there that we're going to all need them at one point or another in our life. It seems like for something. And that's what the odds say. So, I think the news media is very unfortunately, they do harp a lot on them, but we have to hold them up, in my opinion. So,
I think a month or so ago, I did a video and I think I titled it, "Who You Gonna Call?"
Yeah, exactly. Who are you going to call? I've always felt like you don't want to burn your bridges. And, if you're throwing your police officers under the bus, they might not answer your call when you need them. I mean,
they will, but
you know what I mean? It's like, you don't want to do that. You don't want to burn those bridges. But I can't, I don't know. I can't imagine what it's like. And I'm going to throw this out there, and you can answer it or not, choose not to. But there are times when you watch in the Delphi case, because I know you watch other stuff and you're dealing with other cases and all of that, and not just Delphi. But are there times when you wish you could just jump back in and be active again? And say, you know what, guys, I need to help here.
Yeah, absolutely. I miss it. While I was communicating with you and Gonzo today, I was at the police station talking to the new police chief. Not new, going on 3 years, I think, but the person that replaced me. Because they're having trouble recruiting new people and holding on to them. But anyway, I needed to hear all the updates, what's going on, the struggles that she has, and she has plenty going on. But yeah, I still have to stick my head in there at least once a week to see if I can, encourage her or whatever.
I bet she really appreciates you, though, and all
I think so. I hired her as an officer many years ago. Yeah, I handpicked her a long time ago.
So, and that's awesome. I always like to hear when women get promoted through the ranks like that. That's an amazing. That's an amazing thing. So, somebody in here wanted to know what you think about, I think it must be, what do you think of GE that's locked up already? Who is GE? Is that Garrett? That's not Garrett. That's not Garrett. It's Gay Bellis.
Oh, I'm not up on that case. Gonzo could help you there.
I was just gonna say, I don't.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not. I can only keep up with so many cases, but Gonzo knows a lot.
Yeah, Yeah,
has
I
been
don't
heavily
think
involved
I
with
don't
it.
think he has. I don't think we have an opinion on that one for this
Yeah,
case.
sorry. Yeah, I
So
wouldn't
sorry.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to help you at all. I
There's
mean, I know just the basics, and I'll just stay out of that.
so this is something that I am going to ask though. There's people in the chat that have been talking about this. So do you want to hit on this a little bit? They do not believe they're finding it difficult to believe that Tony or Kagan is the guy on the bridge. How do you want to deal with the guy on the bridge?
I don't want to be like that other podcaster that released
Yeah.
something. I'm not gonna touch. I let it work itself out. Let's just leave it at
Okay.
that.
Yeah, and that's really how
It'll come to light. It'll all come to light.
everybody will understand about the man on the bridge when this is all said and done.
Yes.
I
It will
feel
all come out. Yep.
too much emphasis has been placed on the sketches and trying to figure out, put a body onto that man that's on the bridge. You got to quit it. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. That's how I try to explain it. So
Yeah, let's just it'll all come to light and it'll make sense. Let's just
now there's a man on the bridge. I'm just saying you'll understand more once it's all said and done. Yeah.
Thanks for the question. That's a good one.
Good question. Dave wants to know, Perry, why do you think the Wabash is connected? Can you speak to that?
Because this is the biggest case in Indiana. It's been going on for over 5 years, almost pushing 6 now. And that exercise is the biggest operation that they've done in 6 years. And it's related. Definitely related. And I have information that I can't put out that confirms that.
And there you go. Ethics and integrity. Let's see. Hold on. Yeah. Doug Carter told us one day he will be able to tell us everything that they know and why they did what they did. And we have to trust in that. He wants to tell us. He just can't.
Yeah.
But he will.
That's called ethics.
That's called ethics. You're right. And it's the truth. We all have it. We all have things that we've not shared that we know are fact, and we haven't shared them. There's a lot of things in this case that we can't answer definitively because we don't have all of the evidence. Isn't that fair to say, Perry?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We, as much as we know, and I quite frankly know probably more than most of the public.
Yep.
It's just a fraction of what law enforcement knows.
Yeah. So everybody, I hope you heard him say that. He probably knows more than most of the public, and yet he still doesn't have even a fraction of what law enforcement has. So, Paper Chaser wants to know, is it just a coincidence that Anthony Greeno was arrested the day after the search on the Wabash ended? How do we want to answer that?
The charge that he's dealing with, the new charge, is unrelated to Delphi. I'll just say that.
Yep. Anthony Greeno's new charge is unrelated to Delphi. That's what we know. So, and I just, you guys, all the people in my chat and that are watching that are new to my channel, I have never publicly given a POI, and I won't, because of what I just said. I don't feel I have enough information or evidence and factual evidence from law enforcement to do that. They've not shared enough for me to have a person of interest that I'm going to publicly say. But I will tell you, I think they're on the right track and that I think we're close.
Yep. Totally agree.
So, and let's see somebody asked, how can the murder sheet spring out of nowhere and then get all the scoops?
I can't answer that.
We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
We just don't know. I mean, I don't know how they got involved in the case. I know I interviewed them on my show back in March, right after I started my channel, when they first dropped the interview document from law enforcement with Kagan. And I did interview them, and I talked to them behind the scenes and off camera. And I know that they both were highly working on the Burger Chef murders. I know that about them. That's how they started their podcast. And when I asked how they got involved with Delphi, I was told that Kevin lived here and heard about it when it happened. And so he was interested. And then after he and Anya got married and she moved to Indiana, then they both really started looking.
I lost you, Christian.
Didn't mean to knock myself out of the
Yeah, I say, do I have to finish the show now? Oh my God.
I do that every once in a while. I got a new Mac. I got a new Apple Mac, and I'm a Windows girl, and so I'm learning it. And every time I touch this mouse the wrong way, boom, it knocks me right out of the stream. Sorry. But yeah, that's how I know that they got started in it. I don't know where they get their source information.
Yeah, they've got, let me just say that the Kagan interview and the affidavit for Ron Logan's property come from an unknown source. I'm not sure how they had access to that. If he's an attorney, which apparently he is, he probably knows people and whatever. And if it wasn't sealed, they got a hold of it. But I will say that this latest development from a couple of days ago, I know where that came from. And it wasn't through connections.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know where it came from as well. And it had nothing to do with law enforcement. Right. And so that I know of. But yeah, I like I said before, when you profess yourself as being professional journalists, which they always talk about, and how they're, they always want to make sure that what they're putting out is right. And you've been told by your source off the record, do not share this. Do not put this out on your podcast or share it with anyone. And you go live on a podcast and say it, you burned your source. So you've lost any credibility you have as a journalist. You do not do that. It is, go look it up. It's in ethics, in journalism. It's everywhere. You do not burn your sources. So that's all I can say on that.
Well said.
And John asks, what are the chances that any one creator is going to get it right anyway?
I think when it all comes out, there will be some, not necessarily the creators, but certainly followers of the true crime community that will have had it right. They won't know the details, but I think there's a number of people that probably will go, that's just what I thought was going on.
Yeah.
They may not have put that out in public. They may not have commented on a video. They may not have a channel, but there's plenty of people that are going to go, yep, that's what I thought all along.
Yep. I definitely think so too. One of the reasons being, I really did think from the very beginning that there was social media involved somehow, just because of the ages of the
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah.
And I kept telling myself, there's no way that these girls aren't on social media talking to people. I know the age. I know I'm a girl. I know how women and girls that age act. And I'm like, and they're really starting to get into boys. And I'm like, there's got to be social media, not necessarily that they were catfished, but I knew there had to be some sort of a social media aspect. And so I was really surprised when law enforcement led us down a different path and told us that there was no social media. And I understand why the family came out and said that, because they wanted to be on the side with law enforcement, I think, in that. So I don't hold that against them at all.
No, there was a plan from the get-go, and it's
I
playing
believe
out
that
now.
as well.
It's playing out now.
And I think that not only the witnesses, but the family members were told certain things by law enforcement. You do not ever reveal this. You don't ever talk about this, ever, period, because it will ruin this case. And I believe that has happened. And I've said that all along about the witnesses. And I think that that's one reason why we don't see witnesses talking. I mean, anybody we've had speculation on who those witnesses were out there that day by social media, but law enforcement has never told us who was her witnesses.
Right.
So,
yeah, if everybody would separate what the true crime community and this whole world has given us as a narrative for the crime, and then think back, what has law enforcement actually told us? They're worlds apart.
Mm-hmm. And I was on Reddit, like, as you well know, well before I was on YouTube, and I had my Reddit sub over there, and I used to write about that all the time. I was like, you guys, we're talking about all these so-called facts. They're not facts. Law enforcement has never told us any of this. Oh,
That's
but
right.
We have to listen because Bitterbeat Poet knew all of this stuff. He went to Delphi and he interviewed all these people, and it's true.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just, it's not law enforcement telling us this. So Alex says, but thanks, I get it now, but what would, we already answered that one. Sorry, we already asked that question or answered it. And yes, we already answered that one on the river search. So let's go here and see what else is there in here. When you're a girl. So let's see. Yeah, Crimezilla said there's so many rumors. This case is full of rumors. Unbelievably so. I would say 95% of this case is rumor, and 5% of it is fact from law enforcement. If even 5%.
Pretty close, yeah.
Judy, Perry, what do you think about the narrative from the get-go? What in your mind was feeding that narrative? Do you think it was certain people? Do you think it was speculation? Do you have an opinion on that you feel comfortable sharing?
Well, I would say that when I first tuned into this case, and I got in late, my initial thought was it was a random serial killer, and they were at the wrong place at the wrong time, the girls. That lasted, I would say, a few minutes, but I thought that for maybe half a day. And then I thought, no, I need to go to law enforcement. And I started watching the press releases, and what was really going on. Is like, no, this wasn't random. This was well planned. This is way more. And that's how I got addicted to it. Was, whoa, this is a complicated case.
It is. It's like nothing I've ever seen.
I would say the narrative was directed by a few of the bigger creators at the point I got in, and some of them are very convincing, and some of them were needed. I mean, Gray Hughes, for instance. You can say what you want about him, but he did some great work with his maps and timelines and stuff. He's got a little bit different personality. We all do, but I found some of his stuff very valuable. And
Oh,
I
for
got a
sure.
better feel for what the area was like and what, exactly may have gone on. But yeah, we had people reenacting the crime and all those kind of things. And you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt and say, well, is that really what happened? Not sure. And now after being there, I'm not sure that it did go down exactly like a lot of us thought, that we were led to believe it happened a certain way.
And see, after
see.
after that, after you being there, after Skip and Gonzo being there, Skip being there, and Skip felt the same way. He was like, whoa, this may not have happened the way we all thought it happened. This may have went down completely different. And I think that that's huge. I just think that that is absolutely huge. I wanted to say, Perry, there's a question here from Just Pam. Do you think any YouTube investigators will be held accountable for any of their actions when this is all said and done?
Probably not. YouTube, no. Maybe a couple of other people might be, but no. I tried to warn people probably a year ago.
You did.
To be careful that if you are so convinced on your POI, you may find yourself on the stand backpedaling with a good defense attorney. So, I don't know if we're talking about repercussions. I think those are still a possibility. A good defense attorney could pull somebody in and say, well, let's talk about, Billy Bob here, that you were so convinced, and then show all your videos.
Show all your videos.
And the jury goes, wow, that's who did it, not this guy in the courtroom. That was the point I was trying to make. That's not, that's what movies are made of. And sometimes movies are made from real life. So
yeah, exactly.
Not, as far as law enforcement going after somebody in YouTube, I don't think that's ever going to happen.
And remember, he said maybe a couple of people not from YouTube. I'm just throwing that back out there. CJK said, followed this case from day one. Just started podcast this past February, and I'm shocked at the poor information, unfactual information, lies, hate on the family, etc., done by some. I expected truth, facts, and ethics.
Yeah, totally agree. There's been several. Wow, there could be civil actions, I suppose. I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, there's been some people pointing at the family.
Oh Lord, it's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And when I set up my channel and decided, when I came over from Delphi's Daughters on Reddit, I made up my mind when I started this channel that I would do the exact same thing that I did over there. I don't allow any family bashing or victim bashing, no matter what case I'm talking about, in this channel. People want that, they can go somewhere else and find it and listen to that. But I was not going to allow that. And I still stick to that. And there are so many people out there in YouTube world and other world, Reddit, wherever it is, that are just bashing on poor Kelsey. And still to this day, even like yesterday, the day before, they're still putting out the videos about how she is culpable in this crime, and it is crazy.
Yeah. Again, that when we get to the courtroom, some of those people were very convincing. They did a lot of work to direct that narrative in a certain direction. And yeah, anything's possible when you get in the courtroom with a good defense attorney.
Yeah, exactly. Endless Investigates, thank you so much for your super chat. Tony Klein and Kagan, the pervs, but who is the money man? The man we all would be surprised at his involvement. I have some good ideas.
I don't have anything.
I don't have anything to add to that, but trust me, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
It would not surprise me.
I've got my own theory on some things, but I pretty much keep those to myself. I don't even share them with Gonzo or anyone else for that matter. Don't know if there is a money man. It's possible.
Exactly. It would not, that would not surprise me. I have had thoughts about this whole called trip to Vegas and what that may have been about, why they may have gone there.
Right. There's that angle for sure.
Yeah. They had some interesting friends. There's just, yeah. I mean, there's all different rabbit holes we could go down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That I'm not going down on the live. But Radar, thank you so much for saying the stream is great. I'm glad you're enjoying it. And yes, I will definitely buy Perry a coffee. He rocks. You are absolutely right. Thank you so much for your super chat.
Thank you.
He is amazing. And I'm so happy that he saved me tonight and came on and talked with me. So there's another question, putting aside POI. Having been to Delphi, what does CopFaxx think about how the perpetrators intercepted the girls and then went across the creek to the crime scene? Thanks. And Vroom asked that question.
I'll just say
anything you feel comfortable sharing.
Well, like I think I said at the beginning, I'm not convinced of exactly the narrative that we've been told or led to believe, mostly by creators. Not that there was any, intent to mislead anybody. That's, a common opinion of the way it went down. But I don't think they just intercepted them. I think it was planned. I think the social media thing plays into it, and leave it at that.
Yep. Do you feel that he was very, very well organized?
To some extent, but lucky more than organized.
Lucky?
Very lucky.
Yeah, I feel that way too, in a lot of ways. But I think his days of luck are coming to an end. So let's put it that way.
Yep.
So, boy, we got 260 people watching, Perry. They really enjoy you tonight.
Good. If you haven't subscribed to her channel, you need to do that.
Yes, please like and subscribe. And they have been dropping you and Gonzo's channel all night in my chat. So everybody that is in here that has not subscribed to Perry at CopFaxx, please go over and do that, because you will not be disappointed in his content. He has some excellent videos out there. And please make sure that you hit the like button. That does more for me than you know when it comes to YouTube's algorithm on getting me up to where people can actually see what I'm saying and what I have to say. I also want to just give Perry another shout out here. Hold on one second. I just got to grab it. But Perry wrote a book, And I'm going to give him a shout out tonight if I can get my camera to work, because I've got my weird thing on here. Hold on a second. Can we see it? Perry, do you have your book handy? Can you hold your book up? Do you have your book?
I don't. It's behind me on that
shelf. I want your book. But anyway, Perry wrote a book. It's called House Secrets. And it is a really good story. And I really think that you guys would enjoy it. It is about an undercover narcotics detective named Eddie Delordo. And it's, I'm sure, based on many of Perry's experiences undercover in a biker gang. Because Perry went undercover in a biker gang. Did you not?
I did.
And you guys can get this on Amazon. I will have that linked in the description box below so that you guys can go purchase his book. It is absolutely a great read. Mike Essery has read it. He says it was fantastic. I loved it too. It was, I just can't say enough about it. And you guys will really, really enjoy it. It's worth it. And he's also a really good filmmaker. He did a short film on human trafficking. It's very emotional. It's very worth while going to his channel and checking out if you guys have not seen it. And he is also working on, what else are you working on, Perry?
First of all, thank you. And thank you, Mike, for your comment. I appreciate that. I'm working on another film. I'm actually having a problem finding the right actors. I need two particular actors, and I'm really having a problem finding the right two characters. I'm writing another book that I'm not going to go into right now, but yeah, I'm staying busy.
Good. Somebody asked if they can see you dressed up in your biker gear. That might be something that you can do for your...
It's on the back of the book. I think there's a picture of me sitting on an outlaw's bike, actually.
Oh, yep, there he is. There he is, you guys. Can you guys see it? He's right there. What a handsome man, Perry. You do look like Clint Eastwood.
Thank you.
There they go. So hang on a second, because there were some comments that I didn't want to miss here. Crimezilla said to tell you that she's reading your book during the hurricane here in Florida. There you go. So
I've got a daughter and a couple of grandkids in Florida. They've only been there about less than a year. This is their first hurricane experience. So
no,
they're a little stressed.
I hope they're not really in harm's way. I'll be saying a prayer for them.
They'll be fine. They're just a little nervous.
Bogey 708 wants to know, was there any religious activity in the gang? The biker gang, I think, that you were...
Interesting question. I'm not sure how to answer that.
I know.
They have their own code of ethics themselves. Let me just put it that way. I don't know if it would be a religious term or philosophy. They have their own code. They take care of one another. Silence is the number one rule. They protect their own. They have this term called being righteous. And if you're righteous, you're doing the right thing with them. In fact, when it came time for court, after we took them down, I was confronted by the enforcer. And well, I'll share that for another day. Basically told me, don't get up there on the stand and fabricate something and lie about us, and which I obviously didn't, because I have ethics. But that's what we made mistakes. We can't believe we let you in. we'll do our time. You know, we did the crime, we'll do the time. Just don't fabricate stuff. And that particular person became an actual friend. And after the trial, after they did their time, and was always very supportive of me, and I was supportive of him. And if you bear with me, he sacrificed himself when a madman came in with a assault weapon to wipe out as many bikers and biker girls as he could in this bar. And this particular person, and I'll identify him as PK, took this man on at the door and died right there trying to protect the group. A number of people were killed. It was a bad scene. But he did the right thing. He was basically the bouncer at that bar, and he took this guy on even though he had an assault rifle, and he lost his life protecting other people. So righteousness is as close to a religion. They do protect children, I would say that. And people asked earlier about how would a snitch, let's just say that, be in danger after what happened a couple of days ago. Well, someone who has been involved with children or involved in the murder of children, and they get to the pen, these are the kind of guys they're going to be facing. And they do not like that kind of activity. Those things happen in the pen. So it's a dangerous world. That's where the danger comes in from what happened with these clowns the other day.
Yep, for sure. There's a lot of biker activity in Indiana. There's
Absolutely.
a lot of biker gang activity, whatever you want to call it, in Indiana. We are all aware of that do research and know, or in the know, whatever you want to call it. And you just, as Gonzo just said, biker undertones on the outside of the Delphi case. Keep an eye on things. There's just a lot of things that we need to watch. I know somebody just asked about, Perry, do you and I think that there's religious undertones surrounding the Delphi murders? You know, anything here, in my opinion, I'm just going to say could be possible.
Was that the question about the murder?
The question,
I thought it had to do with the biker club. I'm sorry. Yeah,
no, this was the question that just came up was, do you and I feel that there are religious undertones around the Delphi murders?
I know that rumor has been out there related to the scene.
Yes.
But we don't know that. Those are, again, rumors.
Yep.
From what I understand, I'm going to say I don't believe so.
So that's where Perry's at with that.
Other than a staging, a misdirection, those kind of things.
I think it was staged to look that way, from what I'm aware of, or what I've been made aware of. That's what I'm going to say. There was some other stuff here. Hold on a second here. Where is it? Let's see. Woodland Star said, CopFaxx, the video on trafficking was very good. Thanks for all your hard work. I'm looking forward to your new film. Good to hear there is another book coming. And I think Melissa said, Perry, I want to be in your new movie. So I don't know. Melissa, you'll have to go let Perry know. I don't know what he's looking for, but
send me your resume and a picture.
There you go. Send him your resume and your picture, and he's casting. So,
and I just want to comment on that. The video that's up on YouTube, the movie, that's a rough cut. We're working on tightening that up. So just remember that's a rough. That's not the final cut.
It was rough. I cried the first time I watched it. I'm serious. That was really good. It was very well done, and the emotion that you feel watching that is just Yeah, it was really
Well, it's real. I mean, that's not fabricated. That's stories I got from
real people.
Yes.
Yes. Just Pam said, outlaws, huh? Question mark. Did Perry go undercover in Indiana by chance?
I went undercover in Colorado, and a little bit in New Mexico, into Kansas a little bit. My in was that I would be able to transport substances to the people you're talking about there in Indiana and Illinois. Yes.
Wow. That's all I can say is wow. Man, he's one tough cookie, ladies and gentlemen. That's all I can tell you. He's very soft spoken and, and he's got such a great demeanor. But let me tell you, I bet you he was a hard person when he was in that interrogation room, looking you square in the eye, ready to take you out. Zooter wants to know if the story you told about the biker who lost his life protecting everyone, if that was in Texas.
No, that was in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And that individual's name, his name was Paul Klein. No relation to.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, I didn't just realize that when you said that. Wow.
But he went by PK. Big bad dude.
Yeah. So someone says, Kristen, you asked, where does the timeline in this case come from? It comes from the family. How can you not see this? The family gave us the time the girls were dropped off. The family gave us the time that Derek arrived. The family didn't give us any other timeline. They didn't tell us anything about how the crime went down. So yes, I'm very well aware of what Kelsey and Becky have said about what happened and how the girls woke up that day. I believe all of that. I believe when they were dropped off at the trails. And I also believe when Derek arrived. I have no problem with any of that. But they did not talk to us about the crime or how the crime happened. Do you want to speak to that at all, or do you want me to just move on?
No, I think you covered it very well.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Somebody, Endless Investigate said, no person is lower than someone that will hurt children. Yeah,
that's right.
It's pretty true. And I think Tara said that she's thinking the crime scene must have been absolutely horrific if they won't release details on deaths. I think there's a number of reasons why they won't release that. It's not just the crime scene itself, but it's to help protect the family. These are children that we're talking about. And if I was an investigator, I wouldn't want that out there floating around But
well, just the rumors that we've heard and all the noise that the different theories of what the scene was about and what happened to the girls, just look what that's created, and we really don't know. And if we actually saw or heard details from law enforcement, it would be even worse. So, keeping that to themselves was appropriate.
Yeah. And again, they do that again for another reason, because they don't want that out there. They want to get that from the killer.
Yeah.
That way they know they got the right guy.
There you go.
So, hey, Grismatically, how are you? So good to see you. And Sandra Christensen wants to know if you expect an arrest soon due to the Wabash River search and the movement of prisoners.
I do expect an arrest soon. I'll leave it at that. I really don't know the movement of prisoners. I'm not sure.
They're talking about the fact that Kagan was taken out into ISP custody.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I think that's all related. I think arrests are coming.
And I do too. I agree with him on that. So, Mandy says, Perry, I don't know if you're familiar with some Kentucky cases. Iron Horseman's president, David Salyers, had Bobby Rigdon to murder another guy, money related. Rigdon's wife, Kara, went missing. Possible other related cases.
No, I've heard. Yeah, I've heard those names, but I don't know any details about the case. No.
Hang on, sorry. Does anybody else have questions for Perry or I? Perry's been on here a while and I don't want to keep him too late. Gonzo says, the past couple of days, we've got a great new behavior study on creators. Somebody is truly crunching these social media trends and numbers. Keep it tight.
Talk about somebody that has a way with words.
I know. He could, yeah, he does.
I hope that he and I can have an artistic project here soon. We've kind of kicked it around. He was just here in my little town a few days ago.
You guys had lunch?
Yeah, terrible lunch, by the way. But
it was?
Yeah. But
darn.
The best we've had lunch together a number of times, and one of them was in Salina, Kansas, a little hamburger joint that's 100 years old. If you ever go to Salina, go to the cottage. Oh God, what's the name of it? Little bitty hamburger. Ask anybody in Salina; they'll direct you there.
Okay.
Kind of like White Castle hamburgers. Anyway, they're wonderful. And then actually the breakfast we had in Delphi was very good. The morning we ate in Delphi. Everything else we've eaten was not so good.
Tara Olivia says, I don't know if you guys are aware, but I'm a 33-year-old mom of 3. I'm an actress and I'm studying criminal justice. I truly care about these cases and love listening to you both. Send Perry.
Auditioning? Is that an audition?
That's your audition tape, Tara. Send Perry your resume and a picture.
I can throw out what I'm looking for.
Yeah, tell him what you're looking for.
It has to do with trafficking.
Okay.
I'm obviously very interested in that. Working the biker world and with prostitutes a lot, and the vice world kind of plays into the narcotics world. I became well aware of how much trafficking is going on, and it's much worse today than it was when I was in Colorado Springs. But the film I'm putting together now has to do, I need a Native American, if that's the appropriate term, as a mother, mid-30s, and I need a young daughter. Those are the two. I've got everybody else I need in locations. I need these 2 people.
So you need a mother that might be Native American and
daughter,
in the mid-30s, and you need a daughter of the same ethnicity, Native American.
And I need that daughter to be able to look 13 and again 20 later in the film.
Okay, so the daughter needs to be able to look 13 and then later in the film at the age of about 20.
So probably an 18-year-old that looks young would be perfect, and makeup can make her look older. Making them look young is...
Jennifer goes, darn it, I don't fit either. Jennifer's our...
I would take Jennifer for sure.
I was just going to say, Jennifer, you heard that, right?
We'll rewrite the script.
Perry said he would take you for sure. Jennifer's our cheerleader, our professional cheerleader for the football. So
wrong team though.
Yeah, wrong team. But yeah, she's beautiful. Let's see. Tobe said there's a twist. Was the twist social media? Is it yet to come?
That probably was the twist, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the social media was the twist. Yeah. Um,
I think they got focused on Ron Logan.
yeah, I totally and absolutely agree. Crimezilla said she's out. She doesn't she doesn't fit what you're looking for. She's sad. And see, Radar wants to know, Radar wants to know, Perry, what does the mom and daughter need to do in your movie?
Well, I can't really say too much.
It'll be very professional, whatever it is that he has you do, I'm sure.
There's not a lot of lines. It's a situational situation that mother-daughter. The mother abuses the daughter, and I won't go into how, but you know that I'm into trafficking and that kind of thing, so use your imagination.
Mother abuses the daughter. He said there's not a lot of lines. Let's see. Jeez. Let's see. Somebody said to go to the Navajo Nation, Perry.
We have, I've thought about that.
Let's see.
It's very difficult to deal with the American Indian because just an example. I went to high school in Wichita North, and we were the Redskins. And it's a beautiful school. If you ever go to Wichita, go look at North High. It's an architectural piece. It's a piece of art, and it had a bridge attached to it. We had a river. The Arkansas River went right next to the school, and there's a bridge, and there were all these wonderful carvings and artwork, all Indian related. And of course, that was an issue. So I don't know if the bridge is still there. I've heard that maybe it had to be taken down and a modern bridge put in. But anyway, very sensitive issue sometimes. So,
wow.
But let me just say that this, again, is not a fabrication. This is a true story that I learned from the young girl, although she's an adult now. She's telling a story of what happened to her. And this is a true story. And it's very, very sad. But it's real.
Yeah. Wow. I can't wait for it to come out, actually, to see what is it's all about. Fusa said, thank you at CopFaxx. I love all the information I can get from you and True Crime Web. Thank you for your expertise. I would hate to have children at a time like this. I'd be constantly anxiety ridden.
Yes. It's sad. My wife works at the school, and I have a daughter that works at our school also, both with elementary kids.
Mm-hmm.
And the stories are horrific.
My daughter works at a high school, and I honestly don't know how she does it because she works at a high school that's in more of a, I want to say a lower I don't know how to put it. In our city, there are sections of our city that we have good high schools that are known as good. We have ones that are not known as not so good. And I think it's because of the economics that's involved. So
Sure.
the school that she works at is more of a lower economic end school. And some of the stories that come out about kids who are in high school getting their siblings up that go to school that are in primary school and middle school, they're the ones that are responsible to get them up, get them dressed, get them fed. They end up coming to school late because they've had all this responsibility of taking care of their younger siblings, and just a lot of horrific. She's lost a lot of her students to shootings. I mean, let's just put it that way. It's really sad.
Well, I've kind of on this topic, I used to say that the reason everything is going in the wrong direction is that we're in our second generation of dysfunctional families, broken families. And those become dysfunctional in many cases. I think we're easily into the third generation at this point, and it's we see it at that point, especially in the early elementary level kids. It's really sad.
It is. It is really sad. Just Pam said, I'm so happy you're trying to get the Indigenous women's story out. It's out of control, the trafficking of their women.
Yep. And the woman who shared this with me, that's why she's told her story. It's such a horrific story. She hasn't even told her family. Her family is kind of aware of some of what happened to her. But when she told me her whole story the first time, it was hard to hold back the tears. She was very emotional, and she said she had never shared that much with anybody. And so it's quite a story.
Crimezilla said that she works as a behavior therapist within school systems and in home, and it's a very sad situation.
Well, she knows. Yep.
There was, hold on a second. Bridget said, where can we watch your previous documentaries and your upcoming one? Is it going to be on Netflix, YouTube, or something else? You can watch his short film that he did on his channel, and that was dropped in my chat earlier. I think one of the mods will drop it again for you. Perry, where's the new one going to be?
The person I work with, our goal was to put our short films, we hope to do many, in festivals, film festivals, hoping to get some recognition. And that's where you're able to, become recognized and sell your stories. But right now, we will put this new film in some festivals, hopefully get some attention. But once those festivals are over with and the judging is gone, it'll probably just go up on YouTube.
Okay. Gonzo says the twist is always here. The misdirection is always available, and the fix can always be in the cards. Don't let the dice be loaded from the start. We keep pushing for truth. Yes. Brother, you said it well. Sasha wants to know, Perry's intuition or knowledge suggest, does your intuition or knowledge suggest that the Delphi monster may have done something as extreme as murder before?
I don't think so. It's a possibility. I think I have my own opinion of what I think went wrong. And I don't know. I better shut up. I don't think so as far as murdering before. But I think a tendency toward violence, certainly.
So, yeah, I really didn't think so either. I thought maybe this was a first. I know it seems odd to go for 2 in broad daylight for the first, but something tells me that it was. What did Carter say today? What does Perry think about what Carter said today? What did Carter say today? We don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what he said.
I haven't heard anything of what Carter said today. Let's see. Yeah, I'd love to know if he said something, because I certainly haven't heard it. Radar wants to know, where does the mother and daughter need to be located to help you? Just asking because they may know someone.
Well, right now, it will probably be filmed where I live in Nebraska, central Nebraska. We've talked about moving to Colorado to film it. It can probably be shot in a week. So we haven't nailed down the location for sure, but wherever it is, either in Colorado or in Nebraska, it would be, 4, 5, 6 days at the most that these people would have to be available. If that answers the question.
Yep, it looks like it. Okay, so one more question from Unsolved Crimes, and then we're going to let Perry get out of here. Kristen, what if whoever met the girls met them thinking there'd be only one and had the intention to kill one, but killed two in his anger that he found there were two?
Ali, I think he knew there would be two.
Did you hear that, Allie? He said, Perry said he thinks that he knew there was going to be two. Bogey, I'm going to respond to this. Ron Logan could be cleared because the DNA that I believe they have is enough to rule someone out, but may not be enough to rule someone in. If they have the DNA. And I think they do.
Yeah. Big question.
Yeah. So, let's see. I don't know what we're talking about. A card game. There was no press conference today, and Doug Carter hasn't said anything that I'm aware of. So I don't know what that's all about that you guys are talking about. But anyway, I'm
almost afraid to say this.
Oh, it says Lynn said that ISP Superintendent Doug Carter said on Saturday that there is nothing imminent and that some of the rumors swirling online are nonsense. And somebody said it's a Fox 59 report. I have not seen that, so I can't speak to it.
Yeah, don't know.
So I'm going to thank you, Perry, so much for coming on with me tonight. I appreciate you taking all this time with us. I think it was a great conversation. I think people got a lot out of it. We've been upwards of 200 people for the whole 2 hours. So, I mean, there's definitely people who have enjoyed seeing what we've had to put out. There is an article that Maria just put up here. Hold on a second and let me see where it is. See if I can bring it up here real quick. What's it called? Please say nothing imminent. Oh, Fox.
I think we heard that during the day that there was nothing imminent.
Yeah, somebody. I did too, but I didn't know it was coming from Fox 59. I just want to see. Here it is. They released it 2 hours ago. Let me put it up here on the screen with us. Just give me a moment. So here's the report. Oops. Despite the circulation of rumors online, state police have not confirmed any arrests in relation to the Delphi murders, and they say there is nothing imminent. It has been more than 5 years since 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Libby German were killed on February 13th, 2017, after going for a walk on Delphi's historic trails. Users on Reddit, Facebook, and other social media sites have posted speculation over the past week in relation to this investigation of the murders of the two girls. Some have claimed that arrests have been made or previously unreported evidence has been found, but ISP Superintendent Doug Carter said on Saturday that there is nothing imminent and that some of the rumors swirling online are nonsense. On Saturday, Indiana State Police Lafayette provided the following statement. There has not been an arrest made in the Delphi investigation. The speculations are false. Earlier this month, ISP troopers conducted a search of the Wabash River near the home of a man who has been tied to the Delphi murder investigation. At the time, former FBI Special Agent Paul Keenan said that there was no coincidence between the search and the murders. There has been no search of the Wabash River since earlier this week. However, no information has been released on whether any evidence or new information was uncovered during the search. So there we go.
We shall see.
So we shall see. And we keep it real. We keep plugging along. We keep doing what we've been doing, reporting the facts, keeping the story out there, and praying that today is the day, right, Perry?
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
And I appreciate you having me on. Can I ask one question? Is Tech Death Hippie in the chat?
You know, he was supposed to be here, and he came in early, but I haven't seen him. Do you need him for something?
No, I just wanted to point out to anybody that does watch my video or my movie, we used his music.
Yeah.
In the movie.
So everybody who watches me regularly knows that my moderator, Tech Death Hippie, does the intro music and the outro music for my channel. He is a musician and he's fabulous. He has his own YouTube channel. If Maria, would you, or John, please drop Tech Death's channel in the chat for everyone. But he also did the music for Perry's short film on the trafficking, the human trafficking that is on his channel as well. Tech Death is amazing. He is so talented.
Yes, he is.
So talented. And he's not only talented, but he is the kindest and most compassionate person. He truly is. I can't say enough about him. He's just super great. So, but yeah. I know he was going to be watching a football game with his dad or something. So he may have fallen asleep. Who knows? He was pretty much up in the mix with everything that was going on this afternoon. He was trying to get me messages and stuff that were happening in Discords. And so he was trying to help me this afternoon because I wasn't in front of my computer. So, I appreciate him so very, very much. But anyway, yeah, Perry, thank you for calling him out because he really is super great. And he loves you too.
When I first heard his music, I went, whoa, I want that music. You know?
Oh yeah. I feel the same way. And it's so funny because I'll hear a song or something and I'll send it to him. And I'm like, I want to hear you play this because I just know that's how good he is, that he can play it, you know?
Oh yeah.
So he's amazing. He practices enough and then he teaches it too. So There you go. But yeah, thanks for coming on. I certainly appreciate you, and we'll keep plugging away and we'll stay in touch.
And we'll see what imminent means.
Yes, we'll see what imminent means. Because again, I don't believe that when asked, Doug Carter's going to tell Fox 59 what they're planning. So we'll just go with that. So anyway. All right, Perry. Well, I'm going to say good night. And you have a great rest of your weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. All of you.
You're so welcome. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
So there you go, guys. I thought that it was a really good a good chat. I'm so glad that Perry was with us. I have the utmost respect for him. I do not think that anything that has been said negatively about him could ever hold up. It's just how I feel. And once you listen to him and watch him, you realize how real he is and how knowledgeable he is. And so we're going to keep plugging along for Abby and Libby because they deserve it. This is all about Abby and Libby. It's not about me. It's not about Perry. It's not about Gonzo. It's not about any of us YouTubers or podcasters or anybody else. It is about Abby and Libby getting justice. That's what we're all about. I don't have to be right. I don't care. I just want the bridge guy and accomplices, if there are accomplices. I want them arrested, put behind bars, and prosecuted successfully. That is what I'm about. So, God bless the law enforcement officers that are working diligently on this case. I'm behind you 100%, and we support you, and we wait patiently for resolve in this case. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend, and please hug your family members closely, and always, always be kind, because that costs nothing. And always remember before you speak what the consequences of those words may be, because words matter and there's always consequences. Good night, everybody.